Hi guys and welcome. Don't forget, if you're not subscribed, hit that subscribe button and click the bell for notifications of when we upload new content, and also give that like button a hit if you do enjoy the video. It does help the channel grow and us to gain a little bit more viewership on YouTube. Okay, so in today's video we are going to look at how to denib and polish Clearcoat. So we're not going to do a full flat and polish on this car, we are just going to denib and polish this. Now this door, the top section of this door is a little bit dirty, well for my standards anyway. The bottom of this door is absolutely perfect, so we're just going to work on this top section above the swage line. So first things first, let's look at what we're going to be using for this job. We're going to be using the 3M P2000 microfine wet and dry paper. That is my personal choice for wet flat. It's the best grade by far and the best paper out of the manufacturers I've found. We're using a double density block. We've got a pump up bottle with water in it. We've also got one clean microfiber that we're going to use for one stage. We've got some panel wipe or wax and grease remover for you guys that are in a different country. We're then using the Menzerna heavy cut compound 400. Now this is going to be our main cutting compound, and it does boast that it has no added fillers or silicons in it, and we're using the heavy cut foam for that. And then we're going to be using the Menzerna Super Final Finish, which again has no added fillers or silicone. And then we're using the waffle finishing foam for that, and we've got another clean microfiber for the second stage of our clean down. So the first thing that we need to do is obviously detect where those little pesky dirt nibs are, and for this stage I'm just going to say I am using the hard side of the double density block. It'll mean that we can just block these nibs down nicely. So as you're looking at this door now, as you can see, gun finish on this door is absolutely spot on. We just need to get rid of these little nibs. So we are just going to go across these nibs and just take them down nice and gently wherever any of these little nibs are in the top of this door, just to smooth them down to the same as the surface of the rest of the paint. Now you don't want to get too carried away. You don't want to be putting massive flat spots in this, because it has got that perfect factory feel, factory finish off the gun. So we want to keep that factory peel look to it. So we're just going very nice and light with very light pressure, just to work those little nibs down. Now I know a lot of you guys might be watching this thinking, you know, really, is that really a dirty door? For our standards, normally I would be doing, say, maybe 2 or 3 nibs tops on a panel this sort of size. So for me, this job came out really dirty in my eyes. Yes, a lot of that is because the car wasn't really stripped. It was a favourite I was doing for a friend of mine on a Sunday at the shop. So to be quite honest with you, it was get it in the booth, get it prepped up, get it quickly painted up for him, get it baked, polished and out of the door the same day. And we literally had this in and out within about 3 hours of it actually rolling into the shop. So hence why we didn't take the mirror off or anything like that. We did take the handle out because I do prefer to get a nice clean finish inside the handle. But as we're going across this door, you can just see we're just progressing through these little nibs, and you can probably tell as we're getting closer to where this mirror is, obviously you get a lot more dirt trapped in areas like that, so there's quite a few nibs going around that sort of area on the door, and we just want to make sure that we just gently take them down. Now we're going to give this a wipe over with the cloth. That's going to enable us, when those little wet flat spots dry out, to see if they're nice and flat and even, or whether they still got that little bit of dirt poking up in the middle of them, which you will see, because you will see it is either nice and smooth and dull, or you might have a tiny little bit of a glossy ring around the little dirt nib in the middle that you were trying to get out. If that's the case, then obviously just give it an extra little bit of a rub to make sure that that little dirt nib is back down. And again, like I said, don't go pressing on really hard. We just want to do this nice and light, just to make sure that we're only taking really the dirt out. We don't want to get carried away knocking all the peel out the top of this door. So now we're giving that a good wipe down. You can see we've got those little wet flat areas, and yeah, I have gone a bit OTT on this door. I do tend to get a little bit more carried away than say factory, and really try and get all the dirt out of a job, because if you actually look at a factory car, they don't actually remove all the dirt from cars. There is a slight bit of leeway in their quality control, which will let certain amount of and certain sizes of dirts go, not only just sizes, but also the colour of the dirt. So technically on a white car, a factory quality control team can actually let a black dirt nib go in a white car, and they'll just call it a base coat fault, and depending on whereabouts on the car it was and say how many of them there were in a certain area, then that could be let go. So skipping forward through that little bit of a chat there, we've just started off with the compound now. Now we've not put too much on there, and just for safety's sake, what I prefer to do really when I'm doing, say, like the top of a panel like this above the swage line, is just start off, and I actually like to polish the whole part of the panel across the top rather than just trying to concentrate on those tiny little areas, because if I get this big polisher on it and I start really trying to polish hard, for instance, on those little areas, I can end up putting quite a bit of heat into the paint. So rather than putting a lot of heat into one area, I do like to try and keep it nice and flowing motion, nice and even. And obviously with using a cutting compound, you don't need to be really digging in or pressing on with this. Just let your polisher do the work. That's what it's there for. If we were going to do the work, then you just put the compound on a rag and sit there and scrub it for 10 minutes. But we're not. This is the reason why we use the machine polishers. So let the polisher do the work on the car. It just makes your life a lot easier. And polishing doesn't have to be a hard task. I mean, even though we're talking you through this process on this video and all the tooling and everything, literally this panel in real life would take me less than 5 minutes to actually nib and polish the top of this door. So it's no time at all really. And the same as when you're spraying, just try and go for a nice, slow, even motion. Try and get a nice bit of an overlap so you're not sort of jumping, from one pass to another pass. Try and give it a little bit of an overlap to each of your polishing passes. That way you're always covering the same area more than once, and you're getting that nice, even, uniform polished look across your panel. And that way obviously we can make sure that there is no part of the top of this door that is any more dull or any more shiny than the rest of it, because just from running the compound and then the final finish over some parts of paint and not over other parts of paint, it can actually alter the gloss level. So for the sake of doing the top of this door, I would rather just make sure that the top of the door is right and just run the polisher over the whole top of the door. So once you think you are at a stage when in your mind you think it's polished, and that is something that you will learn over time when you sort of know when the job's going to be polished and when it's not going to be polished, then we're going to take that clean microfiber and we're just going to knock all this compound off, and we're just going to have a quick little look. Now to the eye at the moment that looks quite nice and quite good, so I'm kind of thinking that maybe we're at the right compounding stage. Now I'm just pointing to the masking there. I leave the masking on when I polish a job so I can keep the car clean. It stops it from getting all the compound from getting in the door jambs, in the trims, in the rubbers, and anything else on the car that is then going to cause a lot of issues to try and clean off. So once we think we are at the end of the compounding stage, personally what I like to do is not only test a new polish, because this was my first time using the Menzerna cutting compound and polish, but also to triple check the panel, is to use the panel wipe or wax and grease remover. Really give that top of that door a good scrub now to make sure that all the compound and any fillers, anything in that polish or the compound that you've used has been removed from the paint. So we're looking at fresh paint. Now to me that looks perfect. There are no dull spots whatsoever, which just proves to me that this compound does not have any fillers in it. If this compound did have fillers in it and that door looked perfect before a panel wipe it, then after a panel wipe it, if there's any little bit that I've missed, it's going to show up a mile. So always check your compounding work with your panel wipe before you move on to your polishing stage. It gives you that visual, and not just a visual aid, but it just gives you that peace of mind that you know that is bare paint there right now. We've wiped all that compound off, we know this is good to go. So now we're just going to make sure that the gloss is right on this panel by using a finishing polish on it. Now we're using the waffle pad, and again we're just putting a nice light amount of the finishing glaze on. We're going to do exactly the same as we did before, just nice, slow, even passes, keeping the polisher moving along the panel all the time to make sure we don't put any excessive heat into any area or warm up any of the edges of those swage lines where we've got a possibility of burning through if we heat the paint up, because this car is only around, I'd say probably 20 minutes off bake. It's just come down to room temperature and then we've gone straight onto nibbing and polishing it. So we don't want to, you know, force heat back into this clear coat now during the polishing stage and then risk having a burn through or something when we've just got this door looking as nice as it does. And the other aspect of this final finishing stage with a polish is also to make sure that there is no swirl marks from the first compounding stage. Now this is a guide to how I normally polish a car. This is how I would do denib and polish an everyday job in our shop. And I just, again, for the final wipe down, I'll just buff this off and I will give it another wipe with panel wipe just to make sure that this door is perfect before I start unmasking this car, bringing it out of the booth and then putting it back together before I give it to the customer. It just gives me that little bit of peace of mind that I know that that is fresh clear coat there. It is bare clear coat, there is no polish on top of it, there's no compound or anything like that on it. I know that if that is the fresh clear coated finish and I'm happy with it, then the customer's going to be happy with it. And for me, that's what matters. So that's it for this video today, guys. I will leave a link to the Menzerna polish range in the description from PMP Supplies. If you've enjoyed the video, don't forget to give us a like and a thumbs up, and I'll see you again soon for the next one. Bye for now.